Welcome to Lot 76 Cars. My name's Simon and I pose the question today, is this the end for our Audi V8? Stay watching to find out more. So please join me for one last drive of this fabulous V8 beast. Let me tell you what we like about this Audi V8, what we don't like, and why we've got to sell it. So back in February of this year, just a few months ago, Joseph Lloyd sent me a WhatsApp message and said, I've just been offered an Audi V8. So I replied to him, as you would, with a picture saying, surely not one of these. And that's how the story started. Now, several months later, and a complete overhaul of the vehicle, we've actually got some opportunity to enjoy it before, unfortunately, we have to sell it. So let me use this last opportunity to fire up this fabulous 275 brake horsepower V8 and give us the opportunity to bring us up to date with what we've been doing with this car more recently, why this car is so influential in Audi's history, and unfortunately, why we've got to sell it. So Ferdinand Piëch, then CEO of Audi, was very keen to compete in the large sedan segment. He'd seen that the S-Class Mercedes and the BMW had pretty much dominated the segment for years. Now, potentially their first mistake was to use what's called the enlarged Type 44 platform. So essentially, this was used for the Audi 100 and 200, and that's probably one of the reasons why this car wasn't so successful. It simply doesn't look different enough. The centre part of the cabin element of the car, the front and rear doors, are virtually identical. It's basically the front and back that look different to the normal Audi 100 and 200. And it really would take a train spotter for many people to identify what the difference was. And probably that's one of the reasons that even today, if you take this to a car show, as Joseph Lloyd and myself have experienced, people simply don't know what it is. So the wheelbase was actually extended by 12 millimeters. The track is wider and the front and rear sections of the cars are different. You can see in the flaring of the arches and the front and rear wings. And it's pretty apparent as soon as you look at the styling where the additional length has gone into the car. Now, to be fair, the car has got an absolutely lavishly equipped interior. There are copious amounts of leather, there's wood in here, and the specification is good. And it did break new ground for Audi because it combined Audi's fabulous four-wheel drive Quattro system with automatic transmission for the first time. And the innovations didn't end there. In actual fact, they also added a fully zinc galvanized body shell. Now clearly that added quite a lot of cost, and we'll come to that pretty soon. So equipment levels for the time were pretty lavish. ABS brakes you'd expect even at back in the 90s. Now the Pro Content safety system was standard. There's no airbag on this wheel here. I'll cut in some pictures so you can see that better. But essentially, there is a series of pulleys and cables that pull the steering column away from the driver in the event of a frontal accident. A very clever system, and to some extent, probably far more reliable potentially than some of the airbags, and certainly doesn't suffer some of the age issues that airbags do as well. Now, of course, adding all of this equipment, including Servotronic power steering, the car is got very light steering, a sunroof, electric heated and adjustable door mirrors, headlamp washers, just 15-inch BBS alloys, although they do look very nice to be fair. Full leather upholstery, upgraded to Connolly upholstery if that wasn't quite good enough. Heated front seats, electric front seats, heated door lock, the list goes on. But unfortunately, the list didn't run to a central armrest for the driver. How strange is that? Now, adding up all these options, it came at a cost. And believe it or not, the base price of this car in October 1993 was a whopping £45,894.33. Don't forget the 33 pence. Now, what that actually meant is that if you put that in today's price, that would be £120,000. Now, putting it in more context, at the time, you could buy 2.5 Audi 2-litre E's, 100 2-litre E's, for exactly the same price. It was that expensive. We think they sold 170 in the UK, and by the time the 4.2 litre version came along, it's obvious they'd almost given up, and I'll explain why in a second. They sold just 49 of these. Now, if we add up, out of all the 170 cars that were sold in the UK, we believe, if our sources are correct, there are around 12 cars are left. Now, many of the owners of these cars currently have reached out to us and have shared their experiences with them. And there's a lot of love for the V8 out there, especially if you go out into Europe. People really like them. Now, this particular car was launched in, I think in the early 90s. This one was registered to right towards the end in October 1993. Now, people who were around Audi at the time tell us that many of these cars were registered by Audi UK and then sold onto the dealer network. There wasn't a lot of natural demand for them. Now, the interesting thing is, I mentioned before, that why we think Audi sort of gave up with this is, if you look at the brochure, and I'll cut in some pictures of that, they didn't bother to update the very lavish brochure for the 4.2 litre engine. There's a simple one-page letter from Audi giving technical details of the 4.2. Now, a 3.6 to a 4.2, increase in power and capacity, is a pretty big change, but it seems to me they'd simply just given up. Now, if you ran one of these cars back in the day, or even now, you have to have pretty deep pockets. With very careful driving, I've managed to tease this up to 26, almost 27 miles to the gallon. Autocar, when they tested one, managed to get 18, and the norm is probably something like in the early 20s, and we've even seen low teens figures with this car as well. But you can almost forgive it that, because the story behind this car is less about the body shell and it's more about Audi's attempt to crack the large sedan market for the first time by putting this beautiful, this beautiful V8 engine in this car. Now, this car's in a lovely cyclamen pearl effect metallic paint, which absolutely looks glorious, this sort of burgundy metallic. So we've done some final bits and pieces on the car, a final bit of polishing following our day at Maguire's. I've reattached the Audi badge. I've given it a bit of an interior valet. I'll cut in some pictures of some of the work I've done to try and bring the car back up to scratch. And you know what? The quality of this interior really shows through. Underneath a little bit of dirt, now it's clean. It looks a really quality interior. This soft touch dash that was fitted to the later cars of this generation, also shared with the Audi 100 and 200, is significantly better than the early cars. But apart from the price new and the horrific fuel economy, 170 UK buyers got at least to experience these when they were new. And that must have been quite an experience, because even over 30 years later, it's still an epic car to drive. 275 brake horsepower is not a figure to be sniffed at even today. It's smooth, it kicks down. The gearbox has 3 settings. If you can afford it, you can put it in sport. It's also got economy, which I'm in at the moment, and it's even got a manual setting, though I must admit that I don't prefer to use these as a manual. It's not the greatest gear change to do that. So I've enjoyed driving this car very recently. I've enjoyed working with Joseph Lloyd at Lloyd Vehicle Consulting to try and bring this car back to life. We've had the huge support of the rubbish mechanic James Coleman. Without this car, wouldn't be here today. It would simply be a parts car. So why are we selling it? Well, we said all along the plan was to rescue this car, have some fun with it, film it, and then move it on to the next owner. Now, by and large, the basic work to get this car mechanically sound has been done. It runs very well. There's still some jobs to do. It's a running, rolling project. It passed an MOT with flying colours, thankfully. But at the end of the day, it was a project. And we simply haven't got the space to keep this along with all our other cars. Although there have been times we've both been tempted. But this Audi needs a home for somebody who will love it for what it is and the statement in Audi's history. It's one of such a small number, but the sad thing is, most people will just walk past this car and won't even know what it is. They won't know it's got 275 brake horsepower. They won't know it combines automatic transmission with Quattro four-wheel drive for the first time ever. They won't necessarily know straight about the Lavish equipment levels. They won't know that if they'd bought this car in 2025, it would have cost them £120,000. But maybe they'll have the chance to find out. So, I hope you've enjoyed this summary of the Audi V8, simply V8, no model designation, just V8. I hope you've enjoyed watching these videos of us bringing this car back to life as much as we've enjoyed making them. Thanks again to Joseph, to James, and thanks again to all those who've reviewed it. Furious Driving, thanks to Matt for reviewing the car, and more recently there's a further video from JJ on Cars to come out possibly just after my video is released. So we appreciate those, we appreciate the support from subscribers and also the owners of these cars who've reached out to us to tell us their experiences. Thank you one and all. So from the last time, from the Audi V8, thanks for watching Lot 76 Cars. Please like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.